Well, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and welcome to episode 2 of Talking Leeds. I'm going to say the wrong show.
Oh, gosh,
I'm going to say the other one there, but I won't say that.
well, it wouldn't be that, would it be? I could understand why Arron, obviously, like I said, only episode 2.
Yes.
It's only our second week of it, and it was a 4-year strong stretch, wasn't it, for LS11? So yes, I will absolutely forgive you for doing that. But we're back on, Arron. We're back on again.
Back again, yes. So good views. Don't forget, give us a like, give us a subscribe, do all that sort of stuff. We're on all the podcast things, just not Apple yet. We're just waiting on that one, so you can download to us and listen to us again. You can do all that sort of stuff. Good.
Would you like to give the listeners just a taste of who's been listening?
Oh, well, yes. We've had a little look at the recent downloads. We are quite big in the People's Republic of China, which I was quite impressed with. Some poor sods listen to us in China. Big in America as well, San Francisco and the United States. Guam in particular. I think I'm saying it Guam. Been watching the Olympics. Guam, whatever it's called. Ireland, we've had a couple of listeners over there as well. So yes, we're going global already.
Yeah, well, there you go, Aaron. It's one of them things, isn't it? I mean, yeah, the Olympics, like Jimbo's here.
Yes,
I mean, you never know if everybody's going to come on. But good evening, Jimbo. He's saying about the Olympics. Have you been watching the Olympics? Have you, Aaron?
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love the Olympics.
What did you just a question before you say anything else, Aaron? What was your thoughts on that opening ceremony there? Before we get into talking about Leeds,
what the opening ceremony of the Olympics? I thought it was quite good. I thought it was quite different. I wouldn't say it was as good as London, because I think London 2012. We both remember it was fantastic. That opening ceremony, the whole event itself was brilliant. But I thought it was different. It was good. It was interesting, and a lot of French culture and European culture and things. And I like the boats coming up the sun as well. I thought that was quite good.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting, wasn't it? Like, have you been to Paris? Have you, Aaron?
Do you know? I must admit, I have been to Paris on a school trip many years ago. But that's about it. I only went for a day.
Oh, right. And you've never been back. No. I've been briefly.
I'd go back.
Yeah. I mean, I've been briefly, but not to an extent. Probably a day trip, or a couple of days, or whatever. Not much either, early. But I haven't really seen much of the Olympics, I must admit. But
George, you're missing out. The Olympics for me, they've been brilliant. And I think I was watching the rowing this morning. Team GB were just missed out on the women's rowing. They're all different classified events. I don't understand how they all work, because I'm not a rowing fan. But yeah, I've been watching the gymnastics. I even watched a bit of the golf this morning as well.
Oh wow, I didn't know golf was in. I mean,
yeah.
Jimbo talks about. I mean, oh gosh, I wouldn't be that man in the middle of that. Whatever it was, I don't know what he was doing, but gosh, no, it certainly was.
They got a lot of slack for that, didn't they? The organisers.
I'm sure they did.
Like Jesus or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure they did, but no, thank goodness it wasn't me there. But Arron, obviously you've had a birthday, haven't you, since we last talked as well?
I have. It was my 36th birthday on Tuesday. Also, bearing in mind, I'll just give it a shout out. I was approached by BBC Radio 2 to go on the birthday game. But when I said I would do, they said they already filled the position. So thank you.
And how did you do? How did he get on to that?
I don't know what it was, but Scott Mills didn't want me on his show, so he can come. He's not allowed on our show either.
Oh well, there you go. It's tit for tat now. He's been throwing out beef already on his only the second episode.
Yeah,
but there you go.
But yes, well, let's get into it. Talking Leeds, then, George, because lots of things have happened over the last couple of weeks, haven't they? Mainly, Crescencio Summerville with a link. Well, supposedly this afternoon, this evening, we understand that he's passed a West Ham medical, but there seems to be a little bit of difficulty with this one getting over the line, George.
Yes, I think it came out yesterday. Not surprisingly, I don't think a lot of people were expecting it. I think fans, unfortunately, who didn't expect it, a little bit deluded, really. We didn't get up. We didn't go to the Premier League. He is of Premier League quality and deserves to be there. It's no doubt he was going to go in my mind. It was just a case of who to, when he's going to go, and this is the key thing. How much is he going to go for? Obviously, last night, Fabrizio Romano, the man with the no, he said it's a here we go situation. I don't think he's as believable as people might think, because it isn't a here we go situation. He has passed a West Ham medical, but they cannot agree on a fee with Leeds United, or Crescencio Summerville's camp, Arron, can't agree on the contract length.
So first thing,
work out.
Well, there's a lot of things to do to get this over the line. I think he will eventually go. For me, I think it's concerning for me, George. I'll be honest with you, because Summerville is arguably our best player. And for 25 million quid, when you look at what Archie Gray went for, 40 million plus, whatever, you just think it's absolute peanuts. Yes, I agree. He's got 2 years left on his deal at Leeds, and if he doesn't go this summer, then his fee will be reduced to 10 million or whatever it is. But this time next year, Leeds United could be in the Premier League. For me, George, Summerville, we need to keep him. I don't know what Leeds are doing here, selling him, if I'm being honest. I'm a little bit miffed, because we've seen all the we've all seen the social media posts from Leeds, George. We've seen them in Germany. We've seen Nanto, Summerville, Ruter. We've seen them all literally thinking, yeah, we're having a great time. We're going to stay here. We're in it for the long run, blah, 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 blah. And then for this just come out of the blue, and Leeds just try and say 25 million quid or whatever it is. It's just a bit of a piss take, if I'm being honest.
Well, this is what always happens. I'm on the opposite side, personally.
George, but we've got the best player in the Championship last season.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable. He had a great season.
Keep him.
But
if
we can't.
Want to get up, why?
We didn't go up.
We don't need to sell him. But George, we don't need to sell him.
No, they don't need to sell him, but people are wanting him, and people are ready to pay that money. Well, I don't think he'll go to West Ham. I think they'll pull out of it. I think somebody will come in with a higher bid, and that's what Leeds want. And I think that's what we'll get. I don't think he's worth anywhere near £40 million, if I'm being honest.
No, I'm not demanding 40 million quid.
He's not worth 40. He's not even worth 30. I actually think this is fine. A lot of fans have kicked the, dummies out the mouths and out the pram or whatever. I think it's fine. He's a second division player, and 25 million plus add-ons is fine.
Yeah, but George, when you think about it, look at what he did last year. He was our creativity last season in the Championship. If it wasn't for him, arguably we wouldn't have been anywhere near the top two.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the stats are in terms of how many points he won us. He scored 20 goals, which is an incredible amount, really, when you think. Could have been a lot more when you think Arron could have been a hell of a lot more.
But we need that goal ratio in the Championship, because we know what it's like. We know we were here last year. We've been in it before. We know exactly what you need to get out of this division, and you need goals. 20 goals a season plus. He'll probably reach that again this season if he stayed in the Championship. You want to keep your Arsenal close to you. You want your best players to stay. Yes, we've had to get rid of Archie Gray. Yes, he's had to go. We understand that. But this one, for me, you got to keep Summerville, man. His creativity. Out of Archie Gray and Summerville, when you weigh them both up, which one would you rather go?
You'd rather Archie Gray go every day of the week. And twice on a Sunday, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would. You'd rather keep Summerville, but it's not possible. He can't play.
But it is possible.
It's not possible.
Why?
Because he's on the verge of I know I think they'll pull out of this, West Ham. I don't think they'll be able to agree with Leeds' fee, but somebody will. And so they'll get more for him than West Ham are willing to pay. Somebody will get him. It's done. He's gone. He's gone to West Ham or to whoever. He's gone. And I'm not crying about it. I know. I understand. I hear what you're saying, Aaron, about his creativity. He was the key member of the team for us last season, but we can find another one like that. You cannot kid yourself. He was never going to stick around. And also, Aaron, I know that what the media team are doing, he wasn't that much involved in any of these pre-season videos and things like that. He's very much been in the background. They know what they're doing. They know that he is about to leave the club. So,
Yeah, I just want to give you quote Florian Plattenberg as well, who's the Sky Sports Germany kind of reporter. He's saying that he's completed his medical at West Ham today with a green tick. However, there are still no total agreements on the player's side. There's still details to be clarified regarding the contract length, whether 4 or 5 years. Well, you know that his agent's going to be hanging out for 5 years.
Yeah, of course.
That's what they're going to be pushing out for. There's no complete agreement on the final transfer fee with Leeds United. The details are still being worked out, but the medical check is already done now. So is this, if you look at it from the other side, George, and we've got to look at it from the other side, is this a stroke of genius from Leeds to hang out for a bigger fee? Or are they using this as a bait for somebody like Liverpool, because he was linked with Liverpool, wasn't he, earlier on in the window, for a bigger club to come in and say, yes, we'll pay 35 million quid or whatever you want?
Potentially, yeah. They want to sell to the highest bidder, basically.
Because we saw this with Archie Gray, didn't we, when it was Brentford?
Yeah, it happened again. I mean, he didn't get far down the line as, I think he'd agreed personal terms or something. I don't think he had a medical, but it's the same sort of thing, really, isn't it? No contracts have been signed or anything. They can just say, that's it, right, I'm going there instead. Then it's just one of them things. But for me, they want the highest bidder. They want big money for Summerville, and they'll get it. Which is fine, which is good. As long as it goes back in the team, we get a similar kind of quality as Summerville. We want a ready-made replacement for Summerville. I don't think either of the other lads will go, the guys who everybody constantly speaks about. And I think we now need to add 2, 3, maybe even more players to the squad in that position to, make sure that the shortfall of Crysensio's 20 goals last season isn't felt so much in the team next season, because he was top scorer. If you look, I don't know the stats, I haven't got them in front of me really, but I don't know who was next to Summerville in terms of goals. I mean, they did share them about quite a lot. I'm going to guess maybe it was Dan James, or I don't know.
Yeah, it's probably up there. Dan James got a couple of assists as well, didn't he? He was up there early on in the season. He got that injury, didn't he, Dan James, last season, and it knocked him. Nonto, not really. He was more of an impact sub. But if Summerville goes, would you see Nonto coming in and taking that position? Aronson, Rute maybe out on the wide? I think he's definitely going to have to, tinker with the tactics a little bit, Aaron. But if Summerville goes, look, we sign another player. Yeah. We definitely sign another player, but he might tinker with the tactics. I know, because we haven't been able to see the German friendly games other than, on a feed afterwards, innit? I don't know if you've looked at him, Aaron. I certainly didn't, but All I can say about that, George, is quite simple. Don't get too excited over pre-season games against Bundesliga 2 opponents. They're not as if they're high flying in the Bundesliga. Yeah. And I know that a lot of Leeds fans are going to say, "Oh yes, we look brilliant. Brendan Aronson looked fantastic. You know, Firpo's a different player. Blah 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 blah." You're hearing all these different things on social media, but just the reality check here is pre-season. The key thing is tactics, minutes under your belt, and fitness. That's all.
Well, exactly. It doesn't really matter of the result and whatever. It's just like I said, fitness. It's minutes. It's getting used to match fitness in that environment again, and that's all it is. I mean, I think it's the chance for Fark to like I said before, tinker with his tactics a little bit.
Yeah.
I think he's been playing Jorginho out on the wing, hasn't he? And I think Brendan Aronson has also had a bit of a spell on the wing as well. So he's obviously tinkering with that. I think they know he's not silly, is he? He knew that the interest from Summerville was real, and that there was a real possibility that we're going to lose him, and it's looking likely that will happen. So he's got to tinker with his tactics until he finds somebody else. I think we'll now see big rumours coming out now in the lead up to the game next weekend about who's going to come in. So,
So George, so let's say Summerville goes, we get 25 million quid, which has been reported, but we'd hopefully a little bit more. Who do you think would come in and replace 20 plus goals a season in the Championship for Leeds next season?
Well, it's incredibly difficult to say, isn't it? I mean, also Leeds keep the cards very close to the chest, don't they? I think we know that Raksaki is definitely like, but there's also a few other Championship and also teams abroad who are after him. That's definitely not a cut and dry one. Honestly, Aaron, I've no idea. You know, how long is a piece of string? You could pick out players. There's been players linked, but these players linked are not serious links. Gabriel Sara has been linked from Norwich. It makes me laugh. You know, people saying, "Oh, it's too much. That will never happen." Why would that never happen? You know what I mean? I don't understand why that would definitely not be, on the table. I think if Leeds want him, they could go and get him now. I don't think it'd be an issue, but whether he's the sort of player that Fark wants, it's all about fitting the mode that Fark wants to go and where he sees his team going. I honestly have no clue. There's no links really about, and you're just kind of picking players at random here, sort of saying, "Oh, maybe he might do a job," with no real substance to anything. So I don't know. I don't honestly know.
There is. Shall I tell you, Leeds should go and sign Ryan Kent.
Yeah, well, Jimbo said there, hasn't he? It's Ryan Kent again. Yeah. Ryan Kent has been linked, hasn't he, by some media outlets across the world.
He's always been linked for the past, let's be honest, 15 years. He's always been linked. Even when he were 8-year-old, they were still linked with us.
That's it. He's just always there, isn't he? There is always.
Where is Ryan Kent? Is he in Turkey?
Yeah, he's playing at Fenerbahce, isn't he? But I think he signed there last season.
He's not going to come to Leeds.
No, we don't want him there. You know what I mean? I think, not to be nasty, but, there's definite players that are better suited, there than where we can go. I think we can go the higher end of transfers, Aaron. I don't think we have to fodder around with Championship players and such things. I think we can go for top flight players into, maybe not Premier League players, but definitely European top flight players.
Not quoting this though, but look here what Jose Mourinho is the manager there now and said he can leave.
Yeah, he said he can leave, but I mean, I think that's just old news, isn't it? Coming back and people are making a bit of a joke about it. So he will never come, I don't think, and I don't. Just because I don't think Leeds would find him a good enough suitor, basically.
No, I don't know. Like with Leeds, they are, since obviously with Horta's gone, it's a completely different captain sailing the ship now, isn't it? In terms of transfers, it's completely different. I don't know, but I think if if this does go through and we get 25 million quid, we've got to see that money going straight to Daniel Farke. And he needs to spend every single penny of it to really, really bolster that squad. One thing that I think what Leeds really realistically could do with is they need to bring in, other than a winger, another left back for me, George. I don't know about you. Another left back.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're after, isn't it, Aaron? A left back. I think it is a left back. It'll be a left back, a winger, and possibly a striker as well. But a left back is the key areas are wing backs, really, Aaron, in this situation. I think even if we make our defence better, we obviously score goals. Cree is a massive loss. You can't get away from it, but we will bring somebody else in. But we can still score goals, the likes of Willie Nonto, Dan James, Perot, Matteo Joseph will have a big season possibly. Those sort of players, Brendan Aronson will be a good quality addition to it as well. They will score goals. It's the defence that needed bolstering, and left back is a real problem area, as right back was. Last season, obviously, had Gray playing there, mate, so we needed a proper one. Bogle looks like a top end player in that division, so that was a good signing. But left back needs to be sorted. Yeah, I completely agree. Firpo will play there, and we will have a bar injury. Firpo and Bogle will be those two on those wings, but we need better.
We're also forgetting as well. Woba can play at left back as well, can't he?
Yeah, so Voba is another option as well. Obviously, they've got Byram as well, and I think the young lads. I'm not sure where DeBeo plays. I think it might be centre. I think he might be quite central. So I don't know whether he's an option at left back. I think he plays quite central, but he's probably going to be involved in the first team as well this season. As will Charlie Crew. I know Charlie is a centre mid. But he'll be involved. I mean, you're not going to get the same with you did at Archie Gray. Archie Gray just came in and it looked like he'd been playing there for years. It was incredible. But I don't think you'd get Crew coming in and doing a similar kind of job. But he'll be on the fringes of the squad. We do need another centre mid, I would say, as well. I mean, we spoke about it last week, didn't we? The Austrian fella from Cologne. I think they wanted to go back in for him, so obviously they see a centre mid as a priority as well. I'd say maybe we need at least 4 players, Aaron, before now and the end of the transfer window. I don't think we'll have 4 in by the come next Saturday, but I think we'll have maybe 2 in, and those positions are centre mid, left back, winger. And a striker. If I'm being greedy, the striker would be.
I can't see us. But you know what, George? I think you are getting a bit greedy there. If I'm being honest, possibly, I don't think there's going. And I'm not saying that just be devil's advocate. I think with Bamford, Joseph, Perot as well. You've got 3 quality strikers there. I think the one for me is Patrick Bamford. Get him firing, keep him fit. And a fit Bamford wins you football games. And I think it's a big season for me, this one for Bamford, for me, for Leeds. And he's got to really, really start going and scoring goals. And not just scoring goals, but playing regularly. He's got to seize every moment here now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Aaron. A fit Bamford does win you football games. He had a spell like we spoke about last week, I think last season, that that he won us a few games and he was in confident mood and he was keeping fit, and then suddenly bang, he's injured again, and I think he's been injured also in pre-season. So for me, I think my stance on him. He needs binning off next season. He needs to.
Yeah, I know before you go into the Bamford rant, but remember the press, remember the work he does off the ball, Bamford. Yeah. Remember his defensive abilities as well. It's not just, I think with Bamford, and he's very hit and miss with fans like you, Judge, because I know you absolutely are a Bamford basher. You are a Bamford basher, and yes, I think let's be honest, every single Leeds fan is a Bamford basher in some way. They won't go, oh, he's missed sitters, he's missed clear opportunities, he's done so much, and we're all bashing quickly. But all that aside, when Bamford's playing and playing well and pressing well, and his work off the ball is phenomenal, we look so much better.
Yeah, we definitely. You can't deny it. We do.
Yeah.
We definitely do. But there's all that other stuff. You know what I mean?
But this is the thing, and this is why a lot of Bamford bashers get on there going, oh, he's dropping, he's useless, he's a donkey, he's this, he's that. But a lot of those fans don't look at it from the whole round package with Bamford, of what you get is better than just being a striker.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's got that know-how at the press, which I don't think has left him since Bielsa was with us. It's something he learned during his time.
Yeah.
And he's brought it on throughout, Jesse Marsh and Fark and whoever else, Grazia.
Many others.
There's many that went between then and now. But yeah, exactly. So yeah, he's kind of that's his game, isn't it? It's press. When I think he's a very much confidence player when it's going well. And I agree, when he's playing well, we generally do play well. But for me, Joseph, I think, will be the man that starts the majority of games this season. We know about I've spoke already about the pre-season stuff. I don't think there's any accidents in what they're doing. It's very calculated. Like I said, Cree's not really been involved in much of the sort of short videos and stuff. It's very much as well been focused on Mateo Joseph. They even went as far as doing like a little video diary. I don't know if you saw it, Aaron. A little video diary in Germany of, this is my day and this is what I do, and it's such and such a time and we're going for lunch and this, that, and the other. So, they're going as far as that with Mateo Joseph. So he's obviously the looking likely like he's going to be part of a big push this time round.
And he's also got the magic number 19, hasn't he, this season?
Yes. So he also takes Pablo's number 19. Also, Rodrigo had it previously as well. So, yeah, that's a step up, which shows me as well from 49, I think he had last season, the shirt number, to 19. That shows a real jump and that he will be involved a lot more in the first team situation this time. And I think he will be, and I think he'll score goals, and I think he'll do well. And, we need, like I said, we need a little bit, one or two more that really, take on the mantle. And I just think we need a marquee signing, Aaron. And I think this is something that I think a lot of people are waiting for, aren't they? Maybe they're waiting for Cree to go to get the wheels in motion for this marquee signing of like a winger that, Summerville-esque, that will hold the team together and score goals and win games. But I don't think we'll have a problem winning games of football without Crescencio Summerville. I think we can still do it. But every time Cree was on the pitch last season, Aaron, you just thought, not latterly actually, more towards the first half of the season, he sort of faded a little bit, sort of mid-end of the season, I thought, and he didn't have a good game at Wembley. But, definitely early season, Aaron, up until Christmas maybe, every time he was on the pitch, every time he got the ball, you were just like, something's going to happen here. And more often than not, it did. Sometimes it ended in a goal. Sometimes it ended in him assisting. Just at times, it was just like, sit back and enjoy it. You were thinking, what the heck is this? We can actually sit and enjoy Leeds playing football instead of uptight, pooing your pants and biting your fingernails or whatever and shouting and screaming. It was actually quite pleasant for the majority of the time. And I thought that came from the likes of Summerville and the lads obviously really enjoying the football. And hopefully it won't deter the guys too much when Summerville leaves. And they'll just see it as a thing that happens. That's what football is. Somebody else will come in, because we know the three of those guys, particularly Willie and Chris Summerville, are quite tight, I think, aren't they? But
I was just going to mention that, George. How will this see Willie Gnonto now and his future at Leeds, what is the next step for him? Because obviously Summerville was a big kind of key kind of figure, wasn't he, of trying to turn Willie Gnonto around to stay at Leeds and fight the shirt and, and to stay. Now it's, where do we see Willie Gnonto going? Because if you remember rightly, last year, George, Leeds were looking for 30 million quid plus for Willie Gnonto. There's not a month of Sundays that is worth 30 million quid, but Leeds were demanding that high fee from Everton. Do you think Willie will go, or do you think he will stay?
I think Willie Gnonto will stay. Look, I know Summerville
I only say that because obviously we know what happened this time last season.
Yeah, but like we've said before, and he won't try that again. He'll sit tight. If an offer comes in and Leeds deem it acceptable, he'll go. But I just think that, look, they're selling Summerville. They can't afford to completely destroy that whole front line. I know Willie was a bit more of a bench player, wasn't he, last season with the form of Dan James. But I think Willie Gnonto, I know Jimbo says he'll leave, but I disagree. I think he'll stay. I know Summerville was a massive, and they're big mates, and he was a big reason why he stays. And they're both young lads. Willie's a couple of years younger, I think, but and Cree's only 22. But I just think that's not the end of the world, is it? You know what I mean? We I'm sure Arron, like yourself, we're working people. We work and that and just because a person you were friendly with or at work leaves doesn't mean that you have to as well, and also doesn't mean that you have to completely cut the contact with said person. Willie and Cree can still chat. They'll still meet up. If he ends up in London, it's easy to get to. People can get to places and whatever. It's
it's very easy to get around London. Let's be honest.
It is, and it's the age of technology, isn't it, Arron? They're not just going to say, "Oh heck, I need to go now because he's gone," and it's not the same anymore. I think people have to be a bit more professional than that, and you know what I mean. Obviously, the big mates, but will be mates, whatever. So they don't have to be playing in the same team or play it just because he leaves. He has to leave. I think Willie will stay, and I think the onus will come a bit more on him, and I think the onus as well will come more on Ruter as well to actually start putting away some of those chances that he creates, because Summerville won't be in that position to score the goals that he would create. And again, it was such a pleasure to watch the guys play, wasn't it, last season for the majority of it. And I hope that if Summerville does go, which it looks like he will do now, mate, I hope that they do bring somebody of
his quality.
Just a good quality player who can fit straight in and just as if he's never left. He might not get the same goal and scores and stats as Summerville did, but he'll be there. They share it about Leeds. It doesn't matter who scores the goals, as long as we win. That's still the mentality of the team. It doesn't matter if a couple of players leaves, because like Gray wasn't a key player. He was a key player last season, but he wasn't a key player for a long period of time. So that's what why it's easier to replace him. And I think Bogle will probably be even better than he was obviously at right back anyway. So we just need to make sure that if he does go, we need to replace with good quality. Spend the brass, like you said, Arron. Spend the money. It doesn't matter. Spend it. It's there. If we get that money, just spend it.
It's easier said than done that. And
of course it is.
It's not about spending the money, George. It's about Leeds will be, they will put so many things into a deal with any player, like with Bogle. They will agree on a fee which is reasonable. I think they will agree on a contract length which is reasonable. They will also pay a weekly wage, which is reasonable. I don't think they're going to go above and beyond. I was reading on X, on Twitter, how the breakdown of the Archie Gray costs and things like that. It's not just 40 million quid going into a transfer kit and go bang, there you go. It's the wages. You've got to remember these players are on a hell of a lot of money for Championship players. I know that Brendan Aronson has come back and taken a cut Warber will have to do the same, but they're still, you're talking 40, 50,000 pounds a week for a championship player. Bamford, I think, is on about 45,000 or whatever it is. They're paid a hell of a lot of money. And with the PSR rules in the championship, we know the EFL will throw the book at us if we go 1 penny over budget, they will throw the book at us. So you've got to weigh up that as well. And I just hope, George, with the two lads which have come in Warber and Aronson, I just hope they get the ground running straight away, because they have to. They've got to prove that they are there for the cause. They're not going to jump ship quickly if a big offer or a little offer comes in. They've got to do it. They've got to do the business, haven't they, George?
Yeah, they do. I think these guys have to. They, like you said, they have to come in and do the business. They're top quality players, like you said, Aaron. You know, these guys, like I said, Aronson and Voba, are almost like new signings, aren't they? We need them now to step up and become those players that we know they are, better than this level. And these players will give us some enjoyable moments. Voba looks like he's on board. I know there was one or two bits and pieces, Aaron, about Mönchengladbach waiting on his decision kind of thing, but he looks like he's staying, and Brendan Aronson is staying. That's final. Yeah. And we do need Aronson. I think Aronson, I just hope that Leeds don't see that Aronson will be that kind of replacement for Summerville. Hopefully Leeds don't see it as that. I do hope that they bring in somebody else as well. But I'm excited to see Aronson play in this division. I really am. And what I want to know, and I know it's Saturday, isn't it? It's 9 days away is the Portsmouth game, the opening game of the season. And perhaps we will touch on this even more next week. But what I want to know is, before, obviously Summerville's not going to be involved by the look of it, obviously. But before we sort of go on and sign another player, what would be your starting lineup here for the Portsmouth
interesting.
game?
I always make notes throughout the show, and I always make things here. I just wrote down the 5 players' names here, and I'm thinking, do you know what? This breathes quality. So you've got, I'm just going to say 5 here, midfield and a striker. You've got Nonto, Aronson, Rutter, James and Bamford. That front five there, if Aronson starts the way he should do, that front 5 there, you should be scoring 3-4 every game if they're all fit and on board.
Well, this is it, isn't it, Aaron?
And that doesn't include the likes of of Joseph, to come in as well, and Ampadu, and when you go further back down the squad, looking at an attacking players, they look good. That's strong. Obviously, you could put Summerville in there as well. It'd look even stronger.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous.
It's a ridiculous amount of good quality players there, but the Championship at least.
But it's the same as we had.
Should be a mid-table Premier League squad.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as what we had. Well, added on Aronson, basically, in that sense, Aronson has replaced Summerville in that sort of 5. But yeah, it's embarrassing almost how good that front. And then if you look at the back as well, and we talk about those two lads, Aronson and Voba, both those guys add the quality and the know-how, which is better than this division already. And the back line, like I said, I know we'll probably touch on it more, with a couple of days to go to the season as opposed to a week or so. But I think the back line is looking as strong as it ever has. With Voba coming back in, you've got the options of Rodon, Strauch, Voba, Ampadu if you need to. The wing backs, like I said, if they can stay fit, Firpo and Bogle, it just all looks very, very strong. If we can now add 1 or 2 just to hone it in, I mean, if this goes tits up for Summerville, unfortunately for him, because I do in a way hope he does get the move on, because he deserves something. He had and he's not going to get it with Leeds, no matter how much he loves the team. You've got to think about your own career and where it's going. At the end of the day, he's not a Leeds United fan. He's not from Leeds. He's just, come to have a great affection for it. But we really need these players to be replaced with good quality. But Summerville is
and the key thing with the Summerville deal as well is one of the add-ons as well, which I don't think we touched on, was if Leeds would get an add-on to the transfer for if he got a call up to his national side of the Netherlands. For me, do I see Summerville getting a call up to the Dutch national side anytime soon? Probably not for me.
No,
there's too many good quality players who play for Holland, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I mean Holland are a good side, and I'm just looking at see if there's any news on that deal, but it doesn't look like there is for now. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it depends where he went. I think if you go to West Ham, could he even get into the West Ham side? West Ham have got some real quality players in these areas.
Are they in Europe? They're not in Europe.
I can't remember.
Shall
but
I have a little look? Let me have a little look.
Yeah, have a look, because Lopetegui is the manager now. They've got some real quality players like Bowen and stuff like that. But obviously Paqueta, he's got that ban hanging over him. I did read recently that Flamengo, the Brazilian side, are trying to sign him on loan, and I think that's because of his ban that's hanging over him. But he's still a quality player if he can get out of that situation. They've got some real quality players in there, and I don't know how it's going to play out for Summerville if he was.
Yeah, so just looking at the table, West Ham finished 9th last season in the Premier League. They did not qualify for Europe. Obviously, they won the Conference League, didn't they?
It was a year before, I think. Yeah,
so they were in Europe this season, not in Europe next season. Obviously, be targeting that water.
Yeah, I mean they have to. Gone are the day where West Ham are fighting relegation. They're a really strong side now, and it's a good if they can sort these fine details out and he eventually goes to West Ham, then it's a good move for him. I think it's a good sort of stepping stone for him, where he can showcase his skills in the Premier League, do well there, and get a move to a more sort of top 5, top 6 Premier League side where, like you said, that's the only time where he could really get push on the door for the Dutch national side, because it is full of quality players in that team. I know they didn't do too well at the Euros. Was it the semi-final? We beat them.
England beat them.
Yeah. So they have got good players, but it's maybe a little transition period for that national side. And if he gets a good run of games, and this is why I think the Liverpool transfer would possibly make more sense for him, because he'd be with a manager that he knows. Obviously, he's his compatriot, a Dutchman as well, and I think maybe that might swing in his favour if he was wanting ambitions. I'm sure he does.
I'm glad you mentioned Liverpool, George, because I don't think Summerville would. I don't think Liverpool would actually be serious enough to buy him. If I'm being honest, I think Liverpool will be quite snobbish about Summerville, because they'll think, he's done all right in the Championship. They'll be targeting bigger and better players. They're in the Champions League next season. They'll be pushing for a Premier League challenge in the title race. I don't know, tag Liverpool fans in this. If you were, if anybody's watching, tag them in and see if they agree. Would they? I don't think Liverpool fans would be happy signing Summerville, because I don't think he fits their mould, and I don't think he is of a calibre which warrants playing for the Liverpool shirt, because it is bigger than Leeds' shirt, let's be honest. And with the level of competition in the Champions League, in the Premier League, and they'll be pushing for the title, is Summerville going to smash the Premier League up and win Liverpool the title next season? Probably not. He did score against them though, which was quite good. That's it.
Yeah, he got that goal at Anfield, didn't he? That which was an amazing result, wasn't it, at the time? But no,
back in the good old days, George. Back in the good old days.
Well, was it though, Aaron? Was it because eventually Jesse Marsh kept his job? If we'd have lost that game, mate, we might have even had a different end to the season and not got relegated. But it is what it is. I agree with you. I mean, my brother's a Liverpool fan, Aaron.
What does he think?
Well, I don't. Not that I've really spoke to him about the situation between his team and Summerville, but I think you're right. He'd probably, I don't think he'd be too enthusiastic about it. Really, I don't think he'd be, too excited about the thought of, Summerville coming to play for Liverpool. I think you're right. Really, I think they'll probably go for better quality teams, players, better.
Would Jamie Carragher rant and rave about him, going, hey, you're looking at this time here, and you think, right, is he going to be thinking, yes, Summerville's the answer to our problems, and he's the one who's going to win us the Premier League title next year?
No, and I think in that way, I don't even think Liverpool maybe have space for him in the team. I'm not sure, really. And, it just makes sense to me in terms of the coach, the new coach, maybe, but that's all, really. I think looking down the Premier League, West Ham is a good starter for him, really.
It's probably the biggest move, isn't it? Because if you look at, he's not going to go to Newcastle because Newcastle will have bigger and better things. You look at the other top four: Villa, no; Spurs, no; Chelsea, no; Manchester United, no. So I think you're right. West Ham probably would be the bigger. I think it's kind of that top 8, which would be,
I think it's the best of the rest, Aaron, really, isn't it? Where he could have gone. I also think London is a massive pull for foreign players. I don't care what anybody says. I think London is definitely a big pull. So there's that as well. So it's a good move for him if it comes off. But me personally, I think it'll go in the bin, and I think somebody else will come in for him, or he might stay, at this stage. He might even stay. He doesn't seem to be the man that would be pushing for a move if it went tits up.
Interestingly as well, though, George, if you remember, we had all this with Jack Harrison. If you remember a couple of seasons ago, obviously he's at Everton now, but Leeds were about to sell him to Leicester in a January transfer window, and they pulled the plug for whatever reason. They just pulled it and they couldn't agree on terms. There's a lot of work which goes on behind. The only good thing out of this, George, talk about some because I want to move on to the Valencia game. The only good thing which we're seeing at the moment is that Leeds are dictating the terms of the deal. That for me is huge because this time last year or in previous years we'd have rolled over and said, yeah, thank you for the money. We'll go and buy some other crap player and hope they'll be good under Victor Orta. But we're holding strong and dictating terms, which is good to see. Even though we don't want Summerville to go, it's good to see that Leeds are being firm with their negotiations.
Well, I think it was the same for Archie as well. I think they like to think they're in control. Maybe they are in control of it. If you, like we said before, if you can't stump up the money there and then or what we want, then you're not going to get him. And I think, like I said, I think Summerville won't be pushing for a move. He's seen what Willie did last season and how the fans reacted. I don't think he'd be silly enough to go and repeat that. I think he'd just knuckle down and get on with it and, try his best to get us promoted again. I think that's genuinely what he would do. Seems like the kind of character just to get on and do it. But obviously he does want better for himself. And that's natural. That hopefully he does, like you said. But it's good to see that we are, I agree, dictating what goes on. We're not getting bullied by these Premier League sides. We're saying, no, if you don't have it, go and we'll find somebody that will, and that's good because under Radrizzani, Victor Orta, just give us the money and we'll just go buy some random bloody Slovakian player or something like that. You know what I mean? No disrespect to them.
We would go and scout this most amazing Polish under 21 player. Who would be amazing.
That's it. We're going.
We're going by somebody from Red Bull Salzburg.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I mean, but the Red Bull, the Red Bull links are now more and more prominent, aren't they, Aaron? So I think we might see even more sort of links to Red Bull and what players that we can get from there. So it's interesting to see how Leeds play it now, whether Summerville does end up going or if there's a bit of a U-turn with no contract or no agreement being able to be agreed. So we'll see, but I think we do need whatever it is, we do need a new we do need a player to replace. I mean, there is. I do wonder, Aaron. Do they go back in for Paintsill? Do they go back in for Paintsill? Because they were really, really on with him. They nearly got him.
And I don't know. I do worry about this, George. I know we've had this conversation before for many, many years. I look back to when Newcastle were in the Championship and they just bought the best Championship players and got the hell out of the division. And I think we were kind of lucky with Gruev last season because I think he was phenomenal, and we obviously come from. Where did he come from, Gruev again?
Werder Bremen.
We think, we've got that little bit of quality there. I just think, for me, and I've always said this, the bread and butter which gets you out of the Championship is Championship quality. It doesn't have to be top 6 Premier League or Premier League players or whatever. And I think we've done that with Joe Rodon. We've signed a proven quality Championship defender who will get, a real firm hand on that back four. I just think we really need to sign some Championship quality players who know the division. That's all.
Yeah,
and you are going to. There is a Championship tax because you're going to be paying over the odds to get them from a Championship club to a fellow Championship club. We saw that with Perot last season, didn't we? We saw that Leeds had to pay upwards of 15 million quid to get the fellow.
Yeah, look, I mean, a Championship player will cost. A good Championship player will cost anywhere between 10 and 20 million pound now. I think.
Yeah,
that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to have to pay. And I know. Before we come on, I seen Alfie going. You were talking about Whittaker, wanting Morgan Whittaker at Plymouth, and I agree with him. I think it'd be decent. I know Lou seemed to disagree, but I think that he would be all right, and that almost would, we would see if he would be able to take the shoes vacated by Summerville and do a good job as well. But I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it? What's the formula to winning? Maybe it's that. Maybe it's getting players that are way too good for this division and just cooking them up in a pot and saying, let's see what comes out, which is what we've kind of done recently, obviously taken from the Premier League days, like Sir Georgie Rutter, Willie Gnonto and all that. Way too good for this division, really, on a consistent basis, and given a consistent run of form, they've shown that they can really do damage to this division. And to be honest, I mean, you don't know because you don't know whether you'd be in a situation where you had to choose. But you would think it would be quite nice. You want to better yourself. You want to go to a Premier League team or whatever and do well. But also, wouldn't it just be nice to just know that you're better than majority of the players that you're coming up against in the league and enjoying your football and having some positivity about the place, which is what I believe Brendan Aronson is looking for. He's had a torrid couple of years. He knows he'll be better than most of the players that he's coming up against in this league. Will he be just like, let's have some positivity, let's enjoy the football, let's enjoy being on a winning team more often than not, and then, and then ends up in promotions. So, I wouldn't think, in terms of Summerville, Aaron, I don't think he'd be the end of the world, and he won't kick his, he wouldn't toss his, dummy out the pram. Like I said, he'd get down, he'd knuckle down, and he'd just get on with it. You know what I mean? And I think we'd see the same Summerville like we did last season, if I'm honest. He knows he's better than it. He was enjoying his football, and it was plain to see. It was plain as day to see. And when it's like that, everything's good, isn't it? If you're enjoying yourself, it's not all about brass, is it? It's about enjoying yourself. If you're enjoying yourself, then things start to fall in place. So absolutely. I'm really, really hoping for Brendan's sake, if we're talking about Aronson, that he has a fantastic season to just give him that confidence. He's like Bamford, seems a very confidence player. We haven't really seen the full big confidence, positive confidence from Aronson. So hopefully we see that this time. Seems to be buzzing off Farke as well at the fact that he's the manager. So I think if he was the manager last season, it would have been done before he left. I think he would have stayed. So,
Yeah, interestingly, Jimbo's come in and said, anyone know where Liam Cooper is going? The last we heard is that he is. Well, Parker's come out and said, hasn't he, George, that he doesn't expect Liam Cooper to be at Leeds next season. But as things stand, no, he was linked with Blackburn, but I think he's doing what Summerville's doing, holding out for a long contract. He's 32 now, but again, we still don't know where he is, do we, George? We don't know where he is or where he's going to fit in.
No, we don't.
No.
Sorry, no. That's it.
No.
If we're talking about Liam Cooper, look, Liam Cooper is done.
Let's just leave the Cooper bashing there.
Well, we don't know where he's going, do we? We don't know where he's going, and that's it. So it's done, and it's a shame because the club seem to have have sort of not said anything yet whether he's going to get a club in the near future and then come out and say something. You know what I mean? Maybe that's going to happen, but I'm Liam Cooper is done at Leeds. He's nowhere near coming back. Maybe like you said, he's going to Blackburn and possibly. It all seems to have gone a bit quiet. Like we discussed last week, I'm a little bit disappointed, like you, that they didn't at least acknowledge that something has happened and that he, that his contract is finished or he's decided not to take up that option to renew it. It does seem a little bit odd.
It does. Finally, George, Leeds have got a fixture. They play Valencia on Saturday in the final pre-season game. Valencia finished 9th in La Liga last season. Strong end to the season for them. Big test this for Leeds, isn't it, for the final pre-season game before the first game against Portsmouth at home. George, give us a quick prediction for this one. Valencia at home. It's a sellout, which is amazing, by the way, for a pre-season game against Valencia. What do you think? How do you see that one going? Valencia at home, final pre-season game on Saturday. Give us a score prediction.
Well, it's a good test, isn't it? And I would like to just, I'm no Spanish expert or Spanish-speaking expert, but I would just like to correct you on your pronunciation.
Valencia.
Yeah, but they're a good side. It's a good test. I think we did play them years ago in a friendly game. I don't know where it was, but I think it was about 20 years ago. I don't know if that was the last time we played them. I can't remember, but it's a good test. They're a good side. The Rodrigo derby, perhaps. He, of course, used to play for them, didn't he?
Yeah.
If he's watching on, I wonder which side he'll take. But no, I don't really know that much about Valencia. We'll just call him Valencia. We'll just call him Valencia. But I don't. I've actually got a Valencia shirt, but
all right.
I don't really know how well they did last season or what they did or what. So.
Well, the last time we played Valencia was in the Champions League.
Was it? Yeah. No, I'm sure we played.
No, it was. I've gone on to a well-known score website. The last time we played them was in 8th of May 2001, Valencia versus Leeds, and it was 3-0 away, and we drew to them at home. We played them in 1967 in the first cup. We won 2-0. Drew as well.
Now, let me see if I can find it. Arron, I'm sure we played them in a pre-season friendly.
Oh, well, anyway. No. I'm actually now reading the report on the Champions League website. When Alan Smith got sent off in the 90th minute.
Oh gosh!
I was at the youth club watching that. I was distraught.
Really? Oh god!
Yeah,
oh gosh!
Yeah. Okay. Right then, George. So we're hoping for what score prediction did you say?
I'm gonna go with 2-0 Valencia. It's really
2-0 Valencia. Leeds have
really
beaten this so far.
It's a really strange. When we were young and when we, whatever. It always seemed like pre-season would go on forever, and there'd be loads of friendly games, Arron. But this recently don't seem to be any. We've had one official one at Harrogate.
I think it's because the way the season ended. Remember, back in let's say the beginning of June. That's when it kind of ended, really, in the end of the playoff game, and then we've had a few weeks off. There was the Euros, the Copa America as well, and it kick starts again, and that's the nature of football. It's here before you know it.
Well, I think Aaron, from on today, I think it is 66 days since our season finished at Wembley in that game. I think it was about 66 days ago or something.
It's probably
like
about
that.
right. Yeah.
So so it's not that long, and that's what 9 days off. So 75 days from season to what ending to the season next starting. So it's not that long, is it? Really, if you think. And they've had a couple of behind closed doors friendlies, haven't they? Like you said, don't get too excited by it. But Valencia will be a good test. I don't know when they start their campaign. It might be even
couple of weeks. Valencia start. Yes, they will start.
Well, let me see who the manager is here.
I can tell you, it is Ruben Baraja. Bruja. Peter Lim is the owner. If you remember, they signed. It's the famous Gary Neville used to manage them as well, didn't he?
Gary Neville actually managed Rodrigo, didn't he?
He did, yes,
for Valencia. For that short time. I don't think he won a game.
No,
and he wasn't there for long at all. Phil Neville is his assistant. Gosh, you can't
Peter Lim is he owns shares in Salford.
FC, is that right?
They're like good mates.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So he's an Englishman, is he?
Singaporean.
Oh, he's right.
You're testing my knowledge now.
Right.
Anyway. Listen,
he's full owner of Valencia, is he?
He is, yes.
Right.
Yes,
wow. So that's where that link came from. But
yeah,
interesting.
I'll give you a quick prediction then, George, for the Valencia game. I think the Valencia game will be a 0-0 draw. I think it'll be quite boring and too hot.
Well, that'll be all right. You know, that might get people excited because Valencia are a decent La Liga side. They won't be used to playing in the heat either. I know it sounds silly to say, but the Spanish leagues play later on in the evenings, don't they? So they don't get the full sun. But what can you do? It's a friendly match. You're not going, are you, Aaron?
No. I will be there for the Portsmouth game.
You're there for the Portsmouth match.
I'll be there and for each one. But yeah, it's been good. Well, thank you, George, for joining us on Talking Leeds, episode 2, the Summerville Saga. Don't forget to give us, got to give it a shout out now, haven't we?
Yes,
give us a like, give us a share, give us subscribe. If you enjoyed listening to us, you could download us on all those different podcasts at the bottom of your screen. Talking Leeds Pod on X. Give us a follow. Just give us a share. That's all we want. Just allow us to grow a little bit. We're not bothered about. We don't want thousands of people watching. We just want to just grow the channel.
If thousands of people do watch, Aaron, we're not opposed to it.
Oh no, because then we can quit our day jobs and live off this.
Stranger things have happened, I suppose.
Anyway, thanks again, guys. We'll be back next Thursday at 7 p.m. to preview the Portsmouth game and then hopefully find out a resolution to the Summerville saga. We'll see you then.
Absolutely. See you then, everyone, or see you later, Jimbo.